Ready?
Hello there. Yes, I know. Star Wars. Such a divisive franchise. The films are divisive, the TV shows are divisive, the comics are divisive. Even the books no one reads are somehow divisive. However, there was a period where every Star Wars fan and even non-Star Wars fans came together to absolutely demolish a new piece of the Star Wars IP. And that was with DICE's and EA's Battlefront 2. On release, the game had an absolutely absurd monetization scheme. You had to pay to unlock Darth Vader in the game. You actually did not have one of the most iconic Star Wars characters when you began the game. Now that should tell you how bad things were. And not only that, it was frankly a pretty mediocre experience overall, with a lot of lag on multiplayer, a disappointing campaign, missing iconic Star Wars characters, and many small issues that affected the gameplay overall. It was even considered a financial disappointment by EA, selling only 9 million copies, 1 million short of EA's expectations. This was essentially due to the disastrous release the game had, with the previously mentioned loot box filled monetization system being the main culprit of the major controversy that surrounded the game. It got so bad that EA ended up getting the spot of the most downvoted post on Reddit, the front page of the internet. With the infamous sense of pride and accomplishment post that was made regarding the scandal. Seriously? I paid $80 to have Vader locked? Excuse me, sir, but the intent is to provide players with a sense of pride and accomplishment for unlocking different heroes. As for cost, we selected initial values based upon data from the open beta and other adjustments made to milestone rewards before launch. Among other things, we're looking at average per player credit earn rates on a daily basis. We'll be making constant adjustments to ensure that players have challenges that are compelling, rewarding, and of course, attainable via gameplay. We appreciate the candid feedback and the passion the community has put forth around the current topics here on Reddit, our forums, and across numerous social media outlets. Our team will continue to make changes and monitor community feedback and update everyone as soon and as often as we can. With that, many thought the game was over. Hell, there was even a petition to get Disney to revoke the Star Wars license from EA. Things seemed bleak, but the team behind the game wasn't ready to give up yet. And update after update, reworking the monetization to be cosmetic only, adding in extra content that was clearly missing from release, essentially fixing most of the lag issues and even expanding offline play, DICE slowly regained the trust and hope of the community and became well known for a No Man's Sky style redemption arc. This does not justify all the things that were done to the game on release, but it made the future look bright and hopeful. Maybe there will be a happy ending for this game after all. Oh wait, EA just cut support for the game right when it was truly hitting its peak. Because of course they fucking did. The gameplay of Star Wars Battlefront 2 is an interesting beast. There are various classes and characters with their own unique abilities that can be customized by using star cards, which are the game's main gameplay customization mechanic. On launch, you had to pay up to unlock them using credits. However, now they are unlocked by leveling up your character, like it always should have been. Some star cards give you unique perks like extra health on kill, others serve as direct upgrades for your special abilities, and others swap one of your abilities for something completely different. Speaking of these abilities, every character has 3 of them, with the exception of Anakin that has 1 extra ability, meaning he has 4. They could be grenades, shields, miniguns, rocket launchers, and even personal and area of effect boosters. And of course, Force users can push, pull, electrocute, make mind tricks, and strangle enemies alike with their various abilities. The blasters in the game operate in a different manner than most regular firearms in games. Only one of them operates on regular ammo, with all the others using an overheat system, where a bar slowly fills up as you shoot. You can choose to cool down your weapon before overheating, or you can choose to let it overheat so that it has a special cooldown, where you can time a button press to cool your weapon before the meter empties itself automatically, or have the exact timing to get a bonus where your weapon will not overheat for a while. The lightsaber characters operate in a stamina system, losing stamina by blocking and attacking, as well as recovering that stamina as time passes. There are 4 main classes in the game, each pretty simple to understand. The Assault class is the basic infantry, the Heavy class is the heavy artillery, the Officer is the support class, and the Specialist is the sniper. As you play the match and kill enemies and complete objectives, you will acquire battle points that are used to play as reinforcements, vehicles, and even heroes. The reinforcements are special troops from all around the Star Wars universe, like the Clone Commando or Death Trooper. They have their own abilities and weapons that behave differently from the regular classes, being more powerful and interesting overall. The vehicles are of course ships and ground vehicles. The ground vehicles can be tanks or even speeder bikes, with the ships being the classic Star Wars ships. The ground vehicles can be pretty useful and powerful and can wreck some serious shit if you know how to use them. However, the ships... there are modes where you can play exclusively as the ships, though most of them are kinda dead. You got me shitting me! But in regular game modes, they aren't that useful, since you'll mostly just be fighting random AI ships in the sky, not really assisting much in the objective outside of occasionally shooting at players on the ground. Honestly, it would be way better if you could, you know, leave your ship. But unfortunately, I guess that kinda goes against the whole battle point design, so you can't really leave your ship once you're already in it. You can only choose to respawn or kill yourself. And finally, we have the heroes. Characters from all across the franchise with great amounts of health and special abilities, as well as various other perks. The heroes are the biggest threats you'll find in the game, with most of them being able to wreck infantry insanely quick, by requiring a large amount of battle points to be used. Before we focus on the main attraction of Battlefront 2, also known as the multiplayer, let's reserve this little spot to talk a bit about the campaign, and the fact that it's the weakest link in the whole package. It suffers from 2 major problems: the actual plot, and the lack of different and unique mechanics and set pieces when compared to multiplayer. The big problem with the plot was that it was essentially a huge false advertising campaign. Watching the trailers, you are led to believe that we were going to have this crazy story, where you play as the Special Forces operative for the Empire, and have to fight against the rebellion after the destruction of the second Death Star. However, when you actually play the game, your character betrays the Empire before you even finish the first half of the story. Hell, even before that, there is a whole mission where you play as Luke Skywalker, who appeared to confront the main character in one of the trailers. However, when you actually play the game, you will discover that that scene is actually done with another member of the Special Forces team that the main character is a part of, meaning that the main character and Luke never actually meet. They never actually interact with each other. Hell, that mission gives the secondary character that's with Luke better motivation to betray the Empire than the main character, whose entire motivation to do so is the Empire are being assholes to her for seemingly no reason, and they're going to use a bunch of weather satellites to completely wreck the weather of the planet that she was born in, killing probably millions of people. So now, Iden, yes, that's the main character's name, she's very iconic, she's gonna show up in The Mandalorian, guys, just watch, decides to leave the Empire because she realizes they're the bad guys, since they're trying to wreck the planet she was raised in, and kill a lot of people there.
Why? The entire planet and its people, they're loyal to the Empire.
What? You know, I can ignore all that. I can think, okay, the main character had justified those actions to herself, but once they actually got to her planet, she finally realized how evil that shit is. I get that. You didn't really have to go for that story, but you did it anyway. Congrats, you've made another story where you play as the rebels against the Empire. Hooray! And you go on a bunch of missions where you either shoot a big target on a spaceship or fight in a corridor shooter, which lands into my second issue. Most of the missions revolve around you going to a location, going down a pretty clear path, and shooting whatever shows up. Granted, that's not terrible or anything, and the Battle of Jakku mission where you have to fly through the battleground and help other rebel fighters is actually pretty well done. It's just that I felt more missions needed that edge that the Jakku mission had. Seriously, the only other mission that I think is really comparable is the mission where you invade a weapons factory in a lava planet as Lando, and eventually just flood the whole thing of lava and have to escape. Those missions are pretty interesting. Another honorable mention goes to the very short but interesting Kylo Ren mission that acts as an epilogue to the main story, where you essentially go around locations in a sort of dreamlike sequence that sort of bends and spawns in enemies, and you fly around in fucking big floating platforms, and it's actually really cool and interesting. Most of the missions are not that interesting when compared to most classic and even modern FPS campaigns. It's better than having nothing, that's for sure. In Battlefront 2015, we had nothing. It's around the same level as more recent Call of Duty campaigns. Honestly, I feel like the campaign would have benefited from a looser structure, as it is basically just an epilogue to the original trilogy with a bit of the sequels in the DLC, with one mission set in the prequel planet Naboo. But it felt like there was a missed opportunity to just tell a story that went through the entire saga. This is supposed to be the celebration of the saga. Let me play through iconic moments from the films and big set pieces. Hell, there's not a single lightsaber versus lightsaber fight in the whole story. I just feel like if you're going to tell another Rebels fight the bad guys and win story, you can just let me play the classic versions of those stories, like a sort of abridged version of LEGO Star Wars. But since this campaign is all we ever get, I guess it's just something you play once and forget about it. It's not like Titanfall 2 where you might buy the game just for the campaign. It's just something that is there in case you really want more outside of the multiplayer and the offline modes aren't enough for you. Also, the AI is shit. Like actual garbage. Like what the fuck is this? It's better than it was a release where they basically were brain dead, but they are still fucking stupid. Seriously, the offline mode AI feels 10 times more advanced than this. What the fuck is going on? But let's be honest, you're not buying this game for the campaign. No, you're buying to get a big multiplayer experience. And currently, Battlefront 2 offers quite an interesting variety of multiplayer modes, ranging from basic skirmishes to full-on warfare, like Galactic Assault where you go and complete a specific objective in a map, or Supremacy where you capture points until you can invade an enemy ship to destroy it, or Co-op where you attack or defend control points with 3 other players and an army of bots. You can even count Strike, Extraction, and Starfighter Assault in this, but nobody plays those modes anymore. I mean, they're interesting, but they're not really that played by the community, so you're not gonna find many games of them. Then you have deathmatch-like modes where your main objective is killing the other team, like Blast, which is also an interesting game mode that most people don't play because it's just straight deathmatch with nothing added to it. And Heroes vs Villains, a mode where you can only play as hero characters, which can be incredibly fun if both teams are coordinated, or it just becomes 3 lightsaber heroes ganging up on you while the rest of your team is running after a guy on the other side of the map with a jetpack. There are also offline modes like Instant Action, which allows you to play co-op and Supremacy offline, and Arcade where you can play a Blast-esque team deathmatch mode, or Onslaught, a mode where you have limited time to kill a specific amount of enemies, and everyone you kill gives you a bit more time in the counter. The offline modes allow you a good degree of customization, like choosing the amount of enemy and friendly AI that will spawn in the match, and the quantity of battle points you can obtain. But there is one multiplayer mode that is this game's quite unique spin on the typical zombie survival mode found in various other shooters. You see, generally in these other shooters, it's you and a team of people desperately trying to fend off a wave of zombies. Anybody that dies becomes a zombie, and you have to fight them as well. But over here, we have Ewok hunts. You see, during the dead of night, you play as a stormtrooper, desperately trying to survive with only a blaster and a flashlight that requires recharging every few seconds on the forest moon of Andor, while you wait for the transport and desperately fend off the Ewoks that can only use melee attacks and certain special abilities to take you down. And if they succeed, you must join their team and try to eliminate all other stormtroopers. Now this mode can be absolutely horrifying. Hearing distant blaster shots and Ewok screams as your team slowly loses members is terrifying, and keeps you on your toes to anything that might be hiding in the forest. The only things that can help you are crates with better weapons and flashlights, and whatever teammates you are able to find in the forest, since you don't really know where your teammates are when you spawn in. The main problem really of the mode is that there's only one map, and as big as it is, it can get tiring after a while, since you'll eventually have seen everything there is to see in that map and want more, but unfortunately, there simply isn't. Well, that's all for this game and episode. Whoa, but what's this? Mods? Yes, my friend, the PC version of the game features a good variety of mods, from cool looking skins to visual improvements, and even almost complete overhauls to instant action that allow for even greater customization of the settings and even crazier battles, and also make my PC fucking explode because holy shit, that's too many people. And hell, the instant action improvements mod even includes completely new reinforcements and is constantly getting updated, which is more than I can say about Battlefront 2 itself. Oh, and we also have silly mods. Haha, silly mods, silly mods, silly mods. Woo! I really feel a sense of pride and accomplishment. So that was Star Wars Battlefront 2. It wasn't perfect, and it is debatable if it's as good as the original Battlefronts. But for the price that it is right now, I'd certainly recommend it. You can get the Celebration Edition on Steam nowadays, and that contains almost all the character skins already unlocked, so your sense of pride and accomplishment can come not from the cosmetics, but from leveling up and having fun in the Battlefront. So yeah, see you around there, folks. This has been Rocknamn. Have a nice weekend.